What's good, guys? Dana White back at it again, giving us a main event that nobody wants to see. UFC 309, we got the alleged GOAT, John Jonas, taking on the retired firefighter who hasn't won a UFC fight since Khabib Nurmagomedov retired. This fight is for the heavyweight championship of the world, according to Dana. Meanwhile, the real heavyweight champ just sits back and waits for the winner. Now, in the co-main, we got the Red Panty Night Eliminator, Charles do Bronx Oliveira, muito bom, versus Iron Michael Chandler. Man, looks like Iron Mike finally caved in and took a fight. What's next for Conor McGregor? Where does he go from here? We also got Bo Nickal in another seemingly big matchup versus Birju. Paul Craig, lad. Is this an actual test for Bo Nickal, or is it disguised as another layup for the future face of the UFC middleweight division? Or maybe the whole UFC? Let's get into it, y'all.
Bo Nickal back in action, UFC 309 MSG, taking on Paul Craig. Crazy jumping competition. Paul Craig, as we all know, has elite Brazilian jiu-jitsu. He's found upset submission victories over the likes of UFC champion Jamal Hill, former UFC champion Jamal Hill, upset victory over the Dagestani boogeyman Magomed Ankalaev. Paul Craig is a beast. On the surface, that's what it may seem like, but in the last 5, he's 1-4. Stylistically, this is a nice matchup. We got BJJ taking on D1 Wrestling. How do you think this is playing out, E?
Man, I know Paul Craig's been on a losing streak lately, but the dudes that he's lost to are no slouches. These guys are all top of the division. Paul Craig has been iffy. You never know when he's going to win a fight. You never know when he's going to lose a fight. Dude can pull it out the bag in the last second, as we saw against Magomed Ankalaev. So you know it's not going to be an easy matchup for Bo Nickal, although you know the UFC wants to set him up, so maybe the UFC knows something we don't. I think Bo Nickal might just go out there. I think wrestling is a good advantage to have against someone that's primarily a BJJ practitioner. So I think this one might be a tailor-made matchup for Bo Nickal. I think he could hold him down for the entirety of the fight. I think he'll be able to control him. I know Paul Craig got that offense from the back, so you know the submission could come, the triangles could come at any time. But I think Bo Nickal is just way more sound. He's been out for a long time, so I think he's been in the gym. I think he's been putting in that work, and I think he's gonna come ready for Paul Craig.
Yeah, man, I have to agree. I'll tell you what the UFC sees in this matchup. Paul Craig, 4 months ago, coming off a big TKO loss to Kyle Barallo, stepping back in very soon, taking on Bo Nickal, who's heavy-handed. We don't know much about his striking, but we do know his hands are heavy. We also know that wrestling is elite. And what we do know, if anything, that MMA has taught us is position over submission. These wrestlers that come and take you down on the ground and hold you that dominate you in positions win the decisions. The people that go for submission, sometimes the submission is never there. Sometimes you don't get that mistake from your opponent and you can't snatch that submission and you lose the fight just trying to go for a submission while the other fighter has position the whole time. Position over submission all day. I'm taking Bo Nickal in this matchup. We got Charles the Bronx taking on Iron Michael Chandler. Dana White G'd Michael Chandler out of Red Panty Night and said, you're going to have to fight Charles Oliveira for the #1 contender to fight my baby boy Conor McGregor. In this matchup, I'm going to have to go with Charles Oliveira. I mean, the last time they fought, Michael Chandler was able to avoid the submissions early, but he got caught on the chin by Charles Oliveira and showed that Charles Oliveira is able to hurt him and put him out bad. I don't know what Iron Michael Chandler's thinking. He's been out for 2 years. He's going to come back and take a fight against a guy who's beaten him previously. He just wasted his whole late tail end of his prime waiting for Conor McGregor and just to get a matchup that he's not going to win. Poor Michael Chandler. Dana White thugged him out of any success that he could have late in his career in the UFC. But man, that's just my thoughts on the matter. E, what do you think?
Man, Michael did it to himself, bro. He really trusted that Conor McGregor was going to be a man of his word, was going to come back. Even though Conor McGregor got millions and millions of dollars in the bank account, he don't need to fight. He fights when he wants to. He lives at the tune of his own drum. A 38-year-old lightweight is hard to pick. It's hard to pick that. And Charles Dubronx
nearly 40. Nearly 39.
Yeah. It's hard to see him winning this fight. I think Charles is going to make it look easy. He's going to finish him. I think this fight is not going the distance. I do want Michael Chandler to get that bag, but another L. Maybe he really could get Conor McGregor now. Maybe Conor would feel more confident taking this fight against him now. But we both know the winner of this fight or the loser of this fight could get
Stop
that
the
red
cap.
panty night.
Stop the cap. We all know the winner of this fight is going to fight Conor McGregor, and we all know the winner of this fight is Charles Oliveira. Dana and Hunter and Sean and them, they're seeing the numbers. Michael Chandler, Conor McGregor's not a big fight, but you know what a big fight is? Charles the Bronx taking on Conor Notorious McGregor. That's a huge pay-per-view fight, and Conor has a chance to win that. We've seen Charles is very chinny early on. That's what they're angling for. Charles matches up stylistically beautifully with Michael Chandler. That's an easy win for him. He's better than him on the feet. He's better than him on the ground. What do you think?
Honestly, there's bigger matchups for McGregor out there than Michael Chandler or Charles. I think a bigger matchup than that would be Jorge Masvidal. I think a bigger matchup for him would be Nate Diaz. I think even a Dustin Poirier rematch would be a bigger match than this.
Dustin, I disagree. Excited. The other two fighters aren't contracted under the UFC banner at this moment.
And we know Conor's not really a title fighter. He's not really a contender. He's just a big money fight, a red panty.
You trying to hide Conor from Charles?
They're not gonna let him. They're not gonna set him up for slaughter like that, bro.
Okay. So we're on two opposite sides on this.
I think either way, Conor does fight one of these guys. I'm not sure if it's gonna be the winner or the loser, but I could see that fight happening next. But I do think there's bigger fights on the horizons for Conor. So we'll see. This could be the red panty night eliminator.
In the main event, we got Jon Jones finally coming out of hiding, taking on Stipe Miocic, the GOAT, supposedly. What do you think about this, man? Nobody wants this main event. Dana White just keeps putting it in the fans' faces. Jon Jones Stipe, Jon Jones Stipe, Jon Jones Stipe, and it's not seeming to stick. Nobody really seems to have any level of intrigue in this matchup. Jon Jones, pretty much 99% of people think Jon Jones is about to walk through this old man, poor old Stipe, and I agree with them.
Listen, I'm praying the stars align themselves. Something happens. Jon Jones is not 100%. And Stipe, with the upset at 42 years old, just wins the heavyweight title of the world again and shits on Dana White. Oh my God, pandemonium. I can't wait for that to happen. I really want that to happen. Jon Jones has just been ducking Francis Ngannou for the longest time, man. Let's call it what it is, bro. Dude said he's been gaining weight for 3 years.
Get him
back looking fat as hell, not even in shape. Like, come on, and then gets a layup in Cyril Gane, who probably got paid to take the dive. I mean, I'm just throwing allegations out. Whoa. Anyway, Jon Jones, if you're seeing this, I'm sorry. I'm joking. But I do want Stipe to win this fight. Dude's a stand-up guy. I don't know if he's a retired firefighter yet, but just a stand-up guy. And overall, man, I look up to a role model for the people. I think he's just a better example and a better champion for the people.
Listen, man, you're going against the one cardinal rule of MMA. Jon Jones does not lose. It's in the script. The man will never lose a fight. This man's been a champion since 2011. We're in 2024. He's the heavyweight champion. This man is the GOAT for a reason. He's been taking out legends for over 10 plus years. Jon Jones is not coming to play around. Everyone tries to talk about, oh, he's a cokehead. Oh, he's a party animal. Oh, he's ducking Tom Aspinall. And I joke around too about Jon Jones, but when Jon Jones shows up, he wins fights.
The question is, what does Jon Jones have on Dana White? Then he's just been riding him so hard. Like any chance he gets to shit on his current pound for pound fighters, he'll take it and he'll just lift up Jon Jones, talking about that's his baby. He's the GOAT. This is that. Like, you could do that without shitting on your current roster. You know what I'm saying? Like, the glazing. Where's this coming from? What does Jon Jones have on Dana? Or is this just Dana trying to shit on Francis Ngannou and just being completely petty about this, trying to show to the world that his heavyweight champion is the best heavyweight champion in the world and not Francis Ngannou, who left his organization? A lot of questions will be answered.
Yeah, man, I'd have to agree with you on that one. I think it's a combination of being petty and also Jon Jones just doing so much work for the company over the course of almost 15 years at this point.
I get that, but I don't like the fact that when Islam puts on a good performance against Dustin Poirier and he gets shitted on by Dana, And then just for him to just uplift John Jones on him. And then Pereira comes and saves multiple UFC pay-per-views. And then he can't even get a compliment. All Dana's talking about is John Jones. So I'm like, that rubs me the wrong way. When your current fighters and the top of the world, pound for pound, these guys are coming and putting on shows, saving cards, saving main events. And all Dana can talk about is John Jones. It's like, what does he have on him?
John Jones, because he's the GOAT, baby. UFC 309 shaping up to be pretty solid. It's nothing crazy. It's nothing too extravagant. We got Bo Nickal taking on seemingly a huge jumping competition against Paul Craig. But is it really a jumping competition? Could it be a layup disguised as a jumping competition to the casual fan? Then in the co-main event, we got Red Panty Night Eliminator. Charles the Bronx taking on Iron Michael Chandler. The winner of this fight seemingly will have to end up fighting Conor McGregor at this point. Somebody's going to have to fight the Notorious One. And then in the main event, regardless of who wins this matchup, the winner has to hand Tom Aspinall the belt on their way out of that octagon and ride off into the sunset. And good riddance, man. I'm tired of all these older heavyweights ducking the smoke. We need to get movement in the division. It's a dying division. We need the young guy to come in and start taking all the real fights. That's Full Guard MMA, and I'm out of here.
Brother, who gave him this belt? We have to check this, brother. We have to check this.
Peace.